Hi, everybody, and welcome to the press. Great to have you this week for the Players Championship. It is the one and only event that matters this week in the world of golf. It is the crown jewel of the PGA Tour. We do have another event, Live Golf Singapore. We will do a audio only show tomorrow to talk about that. Probably be 3 or 4 minutes. John Rahm probably just going to pick him because he's second, first on that tour. But on the PGA Tour, we've got the Players Championship. Let's get right into it. This is the Players Championship. Play once again this year on the Player Stadium Course at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. This is a Pete Dye Jam, 1982. It's a par 72 golf course, still the same distance as last year when they added 77 yards, 7,352 yards in play. We got a 123 player field. We had Patton Kizzire and Seamus Power added to the field. Those were the first two alternates. They were officially added to the field on Monday once everything finalized in the field. And then Brooks Koepka, his addition left an odd number, so they made it 123 instead of the stated 120 to make sure they had threesomes even for the first 2 days. It's a $25 million tournament. It's the biggest purse on the PGA Tour that is not connected to the FedEx Cup playoffs, right? The Tour Championship is now technically a $40 million tournament. Technically, it has the biggest purse in golf, but that's all a points-based system based on a season-long thing. It's not a singular tournament. In my view, I mean, I get that it is, but that's not the way I think about it. $4.5 million to the winner. 750 FedEx Cup points to the champion. That puts it on level with a major championship. Also, if we haven't talked about on this show, and it'll come up later in the playoffs events now do not have quadruple regular season points. They have 750 points to the winner. So they're treated like a major championship, not like more than a major. It's interesting. They're gonna change the FedEx Cup a whole heck of a lot, just so you know. They've already changed it already, but we'll get to that in August. So, all right, let's get into betting odds for this week. As you might imagine, two-time winner, guy that went back-to-back. The only guy that's ever gone back-to-back in this tournament, Scotty Scheffler, is 4-1. I've seen him at 4.5-1 at another shop. Maybe that's a bet up. Maybe that's not enough action to get Scotty that they want to kind of attract bettors to him. I'm not exactly sure on that, but that was at the Superbook. This was on Odds Checker. Rory McIlroy is the defending champion of this tournament, 13-1. He's got that stubborn back issue, as he's describing it. He pulled out of API with back pain ahead of the third round and didn't play the weekend, and he didn't arrive to the players on time as he would have hoped. So there's something there that's bothering him. I think that makes me apprehensive to take him. Honestly, if in a one and done league, which I've been doing pretty well in this year, I would have thought about taking Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy to win this tournament because of the prize money involved. A lot of pools are based on prize money, not FedEx Cup points. So then you would look to that figure, right? You would go Scotty or Rory because between them, they've won 4 of the last 6. Okay. But both of them are kind of precariously situated at this point, right? Scotty doesn't get off to a good start right now. And he was okay at Bay Hill, but he got frustrated putting wise. So there's something not quite right there. And Rory's got the back issue. And he's been close, but it hasn't quite worked out yet. So I'm concerned about the back thing. That's really what would make me apprehensive to bet him. Between the two, I would bet McIlroy. I just think Scheffler's a little too discombobulated at the moment. His slow and steady approach really works for this golf course. It really does. But it just seems like something's off right now. So I'm probably going to save Scheffler for the Masters. I think he'll figure it out by then. And then figure out McIlroy probably for the PGA Championship because that's at Arana Mink, and I think it's a place he'll really, really like. Colin Morikawa is 25-1 or 24-1. Again, played pretty darn well at API, place that he got pipped last year by Russell Henley. I thought he would give himself a chance to win. That worked out pretty well. 5th place finish. Xander Schauffele's 25-1. Tommy Fleetwood's 26-1. Fleetwood's got a couple okay finishes here over the years. Ludwig Aubert is all of a sudden 28-1. I think he was unbettable a few weeks ago, just how poorly he was playing. He has one good finish on a course that really favors his game, right? Long and gougy, that works for him, right? That's why he won at Torrey. I don't think that applies here, and I would not bet him. Same thing for Cameron Young. Good week. He's had a good couple of weeks. Played well in Phoenix, too. Again, I don't think this fits his game, and this is a course fit kind of place. If you play a certain style, it doesn't fit or favor everybody, and I totally agree with the Tour's marketing about that. The golf course doesn't fit or favor anybody. You have to play the golf course, right? You're asked to hit certain shots. Many of them are going to make you uncomfortable, but you've got to find a way to execute them. I don't think Ludwig or Cam Young are the kinds of guys who are going to execute those shots. And I could be proven completely wrong, but I don't think that they fit this golf course. I would rather bet Hideki at 37-1, who shot 63 here in 2020 to be the unofficial 2020 champion before the world fell apart. He's played okay here in the past, played really well this year. Bay Hill's not really his kind of place. It's other places. This is his kind of place. Or would you bet Siwoo Kim at 37-1 as well? Siwoo, Data Golf, I saw this yesterday in an article, has him as the second highest odds to win the tournament behind McIlroy. Well, McIlroy's got a back problem, so your favorite should be Siwoo Kim. He's played great golf. He's won here. He won here about a decade ago. He is a different golfer. He's a way better golfer. He's played great all year. He is the most obvious pick. He's my one-and-done pick at the moment, unless something happens with McIlroy to announce that his back is fine. He's my pick. It just makes all the sense in the world. Fitzpatrick, 45-1. Hovland, Henley, Goddard, Akshay, 45-1. You might as well lump in Minwoo at 47. You probably find him at 45 or 50, depending on the shop. All end up finishing that left column. Victor Hovland's played well here in the past. For whatever reason, it lines up for him. I think that makes him interesting, playing off of a couple good weeks he's had in a row. Henley was pretty decent in his title defense. This place could fit him. I don't think Goddard's ready for this yet. Akshay, I think, really likes this kind of place. You got to work the ball. You got to be imaginative. He loves imagination. But you're also coming off of winning a signature event. You've got to be worn out. Go back-to-back is a big deal. Makes it hard to bet him. If he had not won, if Berger had won the playoff, I almost would have thought about betting him this week. But what it takes out of you to win is just so much. It's so hard to go back-to-back. Minwoo Lee is 47-1. I'm going to bet him this week. He's played great all year. He's contended here. He's driven the ball great. He's doing everything right. Makes sense. Jake Knapp at 48-1. I probably would have bet before the WD. A little worried about that. I want to hear a little bit more about where he is before I bet him. Brooks Koepka's 50-1. One good finish got him some decent odds. He did play well at the Cognizant. He has played here very well in the past, at times, not all the time, but sometimes. And I think he is a very driven player here. He needs to get into the signature events quickly because they're basically halfway done. And he's got to find his way into the remainder of them. And this is a quick way to do it with a really, obviously, a win here would do a lot of things, but doing really well here would help set him up. Cantlay's 50-1. He's played well here in the past. Bobby Mack, Ricky Fowler. Fowler's played very well this year. Won here 11 years ago. I mean, that's pretty incredible to think about. But he's played pretty well this year. I mean, he's flying under the radar. I would rather go either Sepp Straka or Shane Lowry, guys at 51 and 54 respectively. You're going to find Sepp at all kinds of prices, 50 or 55 probably, maybe 52 depending on the book, how specific they are. But Straka has played very well in the last month or so, and that he played well at Pebble, played well on the East Coast. So you got to keep that in mind. He can win out of nowhere. He's the kind of guy who would win this type of thing. He won the Amex. Not that automatically tells you you're going to play well, but it's also a Pete Dye jam for the 2 rounds at the stadium course out there, PGA West. It could be interesting. Shane Lowry would be an interesting redemptive arc story. He's almost won twice this year. Should have won in Dubai on a very much a waterlogged golf course, kind of like this one. And, frankly, should have won Cognizant, which is also a waterlogged golf course. So maybe that all kind of works out here. Matt McNeely, 56. Kitayama, 57. Jordan Spieth, don't look now. Couple of top, 12 finishes in a row. He's playing pretty good. Don't get your hopes up. He also probably should have won here, 11, 12 years ago, whatever it was, but has never really turned it around from that heartbreak. So that was 2014. That was when Martin Keimer won this and the U.S. Open in a single year. What a world. Daniel Berger, 60-1 with Ben Griffin and Harris English. No, thank you. I mean, I think Berger's in the right direction, but again, getting so close, heartbreaking, kind of tough to pull the trigger on him. Adam Scott is 66-1. I kind of like that number quite a bit. Played pretty well. Has won here, obviously in the March era. He won here in a very windy tournament. The weather forecast, which we should allude to quickly now, is not particularly good for Thursday and Friday. Friday's better, but Thursday is not great as it currently stands. I think they're kind of hoping against hope it doesn't get washed out, and they have to kind of rush through this, and that turns the tournament completely. And you got to think about this if you are someone who bets higher amounts of money on these tournaments. If the weather forecast looks particularly bad on Thursday and they wipe this thing out, that's going to be different than if they have a Thursday where they get a fair amount of the golf in, and then that changes the character of it. If it's all wiped out, they start from scratch on Friday, and they're going to go as quickly as they can. They're going to have to rush through it on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a marathon. You're going to think about it a little differently versus if they start the golf on Thursday and they have a break, and then the guys who never tee it up are actually fresher, but they've got a marathon day on Friday versus the guys who start on Thursday and they've got to just, they're not going to finish on Friday, right? It's interesting to think about it that way. Knowing the weather up front, I would strongly think you would maybe pare back your bets a little bit if you think that's going to happen. If the weather clears and the forecast is fine come Wednesday or Wednesday night, all right, fire away. But hedge a little bit just knowing that. It could change things on a dime. All right, top 10 this week on the model. Again, our members at golfnewsnet.com, $40 1 year, $70 2 years, $100 for 3 years. Over at golfnewsnet.com, get 1 to 123. This is the top 10 because most weeks it's pretty obvious. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, they're getting closer in the points, by the way. Tommy Fleetwood is third. Xander Schauffele is fourth. Russell Henley is fifth. They're all about the same guy, along with Colin Morikawa. Haotong Lee comes up here because he doesn't have a lot of starts, and when he has started, he's played well. Kind of disregard that. I think 11 or 12 is Siwoo Kim. So if you took Haotong out for sample size, he'd be right in here. Ludwig is 8th, Hideki Matsuyama 9th, and Akshay Bhatia 10th. Continuing on the odds board, couple 70s, Justin Rose and Jacob Bridgman. Experience here matters. Rose doesn't have good experience, and Bridgman has basically none. Nikolai Højgaard, JJ Spawn, Sahith Theegala, basically 80 to 1. I would go with Sahith over those guys. I feel like Pearson Cootie's cooling off. He's part of that 90 group with Harry Hall, Heath Mitchell, Alex Noren. Nothing really sexy there. Ryan Gerard's 98 to 1. Might as well be 100. I feel like he's cooled off since the start of the year. He's still playing really well, and I do think this kind of works for his game. But, again, experience matters. I don't think he's got a ton of it. Justin Thomas, Taylor Pendrith, Jason Day, Rasmus Højgaard, 100 to 1. How Nikolai and Rasmus are so different, I don't know. I would have put Nikolai closer to 65 to 1. So maybe you're getting a good price on Nikolai. I don't think he's going to win, but price-wise, value-wise, yes. Keegan Bradley's 100 to 1. And then let's skip forward a little bit, get into some deeper shots here this week. You got Nico Echeverria at 175 to 1, Jordan Smith, Sungjae Im, who I think's playing okay. Christian Bezadenhout's played pretty well lately. He actually kind of likes this golf course. Decent finishes here. Be a very interesting player for me at 175 to 1. Not a lot of money, just a little bit. Ryan Fox played pretty well at Bay Hill. He's played well other places that are kind of like this, like the Dunes, which is kind of like it in Myrtle Beach. Tight, a lot of water. Could be interesting at 175. Ryuhei Setsune, I think, is interesting at 200 to 1. Again, I would like more experience. Haotong Lee's 200 to 1. Again, I think he could be an intriguing player at that figure, 200 to 1. Brian Harmon has done pretty well here in the past, 230 to 1, 250 to 1, depending on where you look. Johnny Kiefer has not quite come along as I would expect yet. He's still got a lot of time, and I'm not worried about it, just not quite where I want him to be. And then kind of in the high 200s, 300, low 300s range, Andrew Novak's playing okay. I don't think this golf course fits him, but it sure fits Tom Hoagie at 310 to 1. I think he could be a fascinating player if you're looking for a super long shot here. And then the longest of the long, right? You're talking about 350 basically and above. Again, I like Zach Bouchot. I don't think he's going to win. But if you're going to bet one guy at a 500 to 1 or higher, that would probably be my guy, him or AJ Ewart. But again, they're not winning the tournament. So this is effectively an 80-player field. I think these guys plus the bottom 10 on the prior graphic really have no chance to win. It's not like the Masters in that regard where there's like 20 guys who can win. There's 80 guys who can win this. But realistically, with experience, it's more like 50. So just keep that in mind. It's hard to get long shot winners in this tournament, especially since they moved it to May and then they moved it back. In that era, you really haven't had that many bizarre champions. It's kind of worked itself out over time. There was a period in the 90s and early 2000s where you got some oddball champions, and I think there was a worry that was kind of becoming a thing. The Craig Perks year in 2003, but it didn't really. And, Fred Funk, Adam Scott turned out to be a major winner, so that evened itself out. But I mean, if you look at the winners of this tournament over the years, especially the last 10, 15, I mean, just incredible. Really, really great champions role. I want to take a look at the Sawgrass scorecard. This is an important golf course to know, I think. You have to know that for all the people who kind of talk about course fit and they talk about certain types of golfers who fit this course, no one fits this course. This course is awkward. It is weird. It is demanding of every shot, intentionally so. Pete really went around this golf course trying to create holes like, oh, on this hole I had you do this. Well, now I'm having you do the opposite, right? If I had you hit a draw of a tee shot, now I'm going to make you hit a fade. If I made you hit one over the water or for your second shot, I'm going to make you hit it over water on the tee shot. If it's a funnel pin to the left, I want a funnel pin 3 holes later to the right. That type of thing. He thought about that very intentionally. Made you go through a full battery of shots on this golf course. I think the front 9 is way more challenging. The opening hole is sneaky tough. The second hole is no bargain if you hit a poor tee shot. 3 is not an easy par 3, especially with wind that we're expecting. 4 can be triple city. You can make 2 or 7. 5 is such a hard tee shot from the angle that you go at it from. 6 is really awkward now with that tree back in place. 7 is sneaky hard. You can miss left into the water. You miss way right. You're probably making a double. 8 is just a long par 3, and 9 is 600 yards. You getting there is a miracle, and you've got to play it up the right side to do it. So that front 9 is just asking a lot. You could score. You could absolutely score. But this golf course is about ball striking. 40% of the strokes gained of players who finished in the top 25 in this tournament over the last basically 15 years of data we have, they score 40% of their strokes gained on the approach. Way less on chipping and putting, or way less on chipping, less on putting, kind of like API last week, a little bit lower on putting, in the mid-20s, low 20s, right? So putting's not as important. It is ball striking, and ball striking. And it really is approach more than any golf course on the PGA Tour, bar none. Back 9, you know it by heart, probably, if you watched this tournament enough time. 10's a great hole. 11, a fantastic par 5, highly underrated in my view. 12 is what it is, sometimes gettable par 4 that's drivable, but people lay up. It's okay. 13's great. 13, 18. Great par 3 with a funnel pin on the left side. 14, just a big challenge. Wide fairway to land in, but if you want to take it deep, it narrows real hard, water on the left. 15, broken up by that fairway bunker, tough green if you're coming out from the left side. 16, man, just can you hit 2 good shots? 2 really tough, good shots. 17, you know what that is. 18, probably one of the best finishing holes in golf. So this is a great golf course. It favors nobody. Truly favors nobody. You better strike your ball well, and you've got to keep the ball in play. If you are out of play, you are dead. Really dead. You're going to make lots of bogeys and doubles, and you're just going to find yourself going home. If you putt poorly, you can come back from that. Because if you put it close enough, you're going to give yourself chances. You're going to make mistakes. Try to limit your mistakes. Horses for courses. There's only one person on this list, and this is a 14-person list that has more than 2 top 15 finishes in the last 5 playings of this event. That is Corey Connors. Everybody else has 2. Daniel Berger, Christian Bezuidenhout, Brian Harmon, Tom Hoagie, Max Homa, Victor Hovland, Siwoo Kim, Shane Lowry, Hideki, Denny McCarthy, who's not played very well this year. Hopefully he'll turn that around. Colin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, they're both wins. And Sepp Straka. You might go, well, where's Rory McIlroy? He won twice. Well, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 19 doesn't count. Doesn't count toward that list. So that means between the win in 19 and the win last year, McIlroy had 0 top 15 finishes in this tournament. That's how it works. It's not a guarantee. This course favors nobody. You have to play well to do well here. So take current form and look at that a lot. The guys who have played, multiple top 15s here, some like it, like Hovland kind of does. I think Bezuidenhout does. Corey Connors is just a great ball striker. Brian Harmon keeps the ball in play. Scheffler and Straka and Morikawa, those guys work for themselves. Denny McCarthy, you don't have to hit the ball as far playing this golf course most times. So I can take driver out of his hands, which is his liability. Matsuyama, ultimate ball striker. Lowry, he has a great short game, but he's also seems to like this golf course. Siwoo Kim, fabulous ball striker. Right? Tom Hoagie, fabulous ball striker. So kind of get the messaging. Course fits, again, this is course fit with quotations around it. It favors nobody. But of the comparison of players' strokes gained by category in the top 25 in the history of our database, which goes back to 2012, 2011, compared to a player's top 25 finishes, how they meter out. These are your fits. Keegan, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Tom Hoagie, Adam Scott, Chris Goddard, which makes me think twice about saying Goddard might not do well here. Matty Schmid, who I don't think will do well here, because he could be a surprise, but I don't think he's going to win. And then Nick Taylor, ball striker. Hot hands, we got a lot of them. This graphic took a while to make, not because of the names, just to kind of order it, make it look decent. Basically, 20% of the field has multiple top 15 finishes in the last 5 PGA Tour events played. And that's Batia, just one, Bridgman, Castillo, which, by the way, it's Castillo, not Castillo. Castillo, who won in Puerto Rico. Nico Echeverria, who just won. Matt Fitzpatrick, Fleetwood, Hisetsune, Nikolai Højgaard, Victor Hovland, who's coming along. Siwoo Kim's been great all year. Jake Knapp been great all year. Min Woo been great all year. Shane Lowry been great all year. Matsuyama, McIlroy, great all year. McNeely playing okay. He's more a West Coast guy, so I don't like him this week. Morikawa, Scheffler, Schmid, Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth. We talked about that. Sepp Straka, Cameron Young. So a lot of guys that you would figure, but I don't think they really help shit ton. You probably want to kind of start here, right? Current form matters, and then start breaking them down by how they play, right? Past champions, we've been over this. 25, Rory McIlroy, work our way backwards. Scotty Scheffler back-to-back, only guy to ever do that. Cam Smith in 22 in a Monday finish. Justin Thomas in 21. Hideki with his 63, the only round completed at that year's Players before COVID happened, and Rory McIlroy in 2019. Short-term form. This list I had to modify because there were too many names. So typically you do strokes gained, any players in the last 10 PGA Tour events of those that they played. If they're averaging 1.2 strokes gained in the aggregate per round, you'd get on the left list. Well, we had to make that 1.4 because you have 4 names that were added to the list that made basically impossible to read. So those guys are Patton Kizzire, who's also on the strokes gained approach list. I had to modify that from 0.6 strokes per round, strokes gained on the approach, to 0.65. He fell off there. So Patton Kizzire getting in this event as an alternate is kind of interesting. Maybe a very interesting long shot. Haven't seen pricing on him since I put this together. So he'd probably be like in a 600 to 1 range. Might be interesting. Might be the only guy at 500 to 1 or greater that I would consider. But other guys that make the strokes gained total list and then quality strokes gained, right? That's 1.5 per round. So you would see some difference here. You really want to look at like 1.6, 1.7. But we included 1.5 because that list was a little shorter. So some names that are on all of the lists. Rory McIlroy, Collin Morikawa, Brooks Koepka is actually, because he hasn't played that much, but he had a really good finish, so that levels him out, right? Fewer events. But Brooks Koepka is on all 3 lists. Akshay Bhatia is on 2 of the 3. He did his job at API with putting, which is stunning considering he's a bad putter. Christian Bezuidenhout is not on all 3 lists because he's doing it against weaker competition, but he's playing all around okay, so that's good. Jacob Bridgman is on 2 of the 3, again, doing it with short game. Rasmus Højgaard is on all 3, which is kind of surprising. That's how he got into. Rasmus is the better Højgaard in my view. But anyway, Scotty Scheffler is on 2 of the 3 lists. His approach play has not been as good lately. And then Shane Lowry, who we've talked about week in and week out, has been great. And I try to get through the rest of this so you're not here as long. But strokes gained, tee to green, low variance. We want to look at guys who are playing great. Strokes gained, tee to green. Putting is something you can not really control for, particularly well compared to the other aspects of the game. So I want to know that you're playing well tee to green, especially on this golf course. Playing well tee to green, especially on the approach. Low variance, smooth line. We don't want waves. We want smooth. These guys are smooth. Koepka, Scotty Scheffler, Siwoo Kim, Tommy Fleetwood, Kurt Kitayama, Adam Scott, Cam Young. So Cam Young, despite how he plays, is very strong tee to green, but it's mostly driving, right? Kitayama, longer driver, pretty good approach player, right? So he can kind of fit. Fleetwood, not so much long driver, great approach player. Siwoo, great approach play. Scotty, a little of everything. Brooks, a little of everything, although Scotty recently has been more driving the ball. And then for those of you who like the top 25 bets, or top 20 bets, top 10 bets, top 5 bets, in the last 50 PGA Tour events played, of those that you played, did you finish in the top 20, 45% more of the time? We have 13 guys who fit that. The list is starting to come down a little bit. It's kind of interesting. From week to week. Scheffler lost 1, so now instead of like 95.8%, it's 92%, which is crazy. Rory McIlroy, 82% of the time. Russell Henley, 72.75% of the time. Tommy Fleetwood, 68% of the time. Sepp Straka, 58% of the time, still remarkable. Colin Morikawa, 54%. Two guys at 50, dead even. Ben Griffin and Xander Schauffele. Siwoo's close at 48 and change, along with Ricky Fowler, Bob McIntyre, and Shane Lowry, all about 48%. And then Patrick Cantlay at 45.8%. So those are some guys from a consistency standpoint. Again, I think consistency matters at this golf course, but I think being a hot hand really does kind of matter. So something to think about. Lots to think about this tournament. There are a couple long shots, like I think kind of in the 37 to 45 range, you're going to find a lot of names you're going to like. I think you're going to find a couple guys in the 70s you might like. 65 to 75 range you're going to like. I didn't really love anyone in the 100 to 250 range. Not love. Some maybe longer shots like a Tom Hoagie who plays this place well. Again, Patton Kazire, super long shot, kind of interesting at 600 to 1. Do I think he's going to win? No, but I put $2 on it if I were you, if that were kind of based on your units. But there's a lot to think about. So longer show this week. This is kind of a major championship kind of week, so we wanted to give it the major treatment. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions for me, get a hold of me, Ryan at thegolfnewsnet.com. I'm on Twitter threads and Blue Sky and all kinds of places. Ryan Ballingy or Ryan Ballingy Golf. On Blue Sky, ryan.thegolfnewsnet.com. Golf Newsnet's the handle on every social media service. You can join Golf Newsnet for $40 a year, $70 for 2 years, or $100 for 3 years at golfnewsnet.com. Good luck with all your bets on the Players Championship. We'll do a short audio-only show tomorrow to talk about Live Golf Singapore, the only other event of the week. Maybe we'll touch on the Women's Australian Open for a hot second. You have to be a true DGen to bet that tournament, but we might be able to talk about it just to get the podcast over like 5 minutes in length. I'm Ryan Ballingy. Thanks so much for watching or listening, and we will talk to you next time right here on The Press.